the pub.
Yeah.
Do I look knackered?
You're in. We're live.
I am knackered. Okay, so we were just having a conversation about tiny shows, and I thought it might be useful to share some of this stuff and capture it because, yeah, useful. Capture is useful. Also, I have Guinness. So we were just saying about the calling of sessions at the beginning of the day and talking about whether or not the next iteration of tiny shows might experiment with having a narrative. So with the provision of a narrative in a series of beats that would then be taken away by people and exploded in their own special ways. With no structure offered for style or form or anything, but just a beat. Here's a beat, and then to go away, explode into some ideas, come back, talk about the ideas, then think of look at places where we might need some missing beats or whatever, and then to go away, remake those things, come back, put them together, find glue to make the gaps, to fill in the gaps. And present something that's narrative-led. I specifically said no linear narrative because I felt it felt too restrictive for this particular version of tiny shows, because I just wanted to look at the structure and how to hold that space, how to open and hold that space for creative people. So it kind of wasn't really about narrative, which is why I chose the most obvious of stories that everyone would know, and it really wasn't. It kind of also wasn't about performances. It was just about the making this time, really, predominantly.
Shout out if you can hear.
What's interesting?
No, can you just get them to like if they can hear you, because it's very loud and we've just lost 2 people.
Oh, have we? They're probably just bored by me.
Oh, maybe.
So what's interesting to me is we were talking about calling sessions, and people don't call sessions about narrative. They call sessions about character. So even if they're calling session about a dramatic moment, they'll call a session about what if Cinder's had this, or she felt this way, or what if the fairy godmother had felt this. It's about character. It's not really about journey as such. It's always, even if it is about a bit of a journey, it's always about why the character did that, or their motivational, their emotional, their response to it, which is fascinating. And Ben said, did I find that disappointing? Because Ben knows that I'm an academic about all these things, and I'm a very process-driven person, which is why I start creating these things, because it's all about an overview of the process for me. And I wasn't disappointed at all. I'm excited that sessions were called, and I kind of tried to help that and sort of started to hinder it a bit, I think, with the equation I offered. Because for me, the equation is a really interesting thing because it's a process thing, it's a meta view of the process. And brilliantly, someone went, do we have to do that? And I thought, no, you don't have to do anything. That's the most useful question of all. Do we have to do that? No. And that was great, and then sparks started flying and people started calling sessions and ideas happened, and that's really exciting. So, no, I wasn't disappointed at all. The interesting thing for me is I chose to separate the spaces into tension and transformation and release because I find it interesting that a dramatic moment might go through those stages in a single breath. I find it interesting that dance was something that I thought suddenly I don't like it because it's all about tension and release, and I didn't realise that of course it goes through transformation. And if dance doesn't visibly go through transformation for me, then I find it not engaging. So isn't that interesting? That also the transformation seasons are my favourite seasons. Spring and autumn are my favourites. So that says something about me and the way I approach writing and moments and make choices about story. And maybe had I been the kind of person who was interested this time in talking about beat to beat, that's the way we would have gone. But it's certainly something that we should think about exploring with tiny shows in the future and see what that does for us, to us, with us as a group, how that affects our collaboration, whether we feel that's helpful or a hindrance. It's certainly something I would really love to explore. And also the question of, do I come in with a series of beats, the way Stella did with Chaos Baby? Yeah. Do I come in with a series of beats and go, I think this is the story that I'm interested in telling. Let's figure out how we do that collectively. Or is that something where I go, what should we tell? I just think at the end of the day, one person has to make a choice. So maybe that's part of creating that structure, is I make that choice, and then there's freedom within that choice. Maybe, I don't know.
I do think you have to take an idea into the room. I think
so. I think some kind of structure to which people can respond is really helpful. Yeah. Anyway, those are my thoughts for the Guinness. You can stop now.
Okay.
Oh. Structure is good, Mary. Structure is really good. Yeah, it's really helpful. Absolutely. Hello. I'm going to have my Guinness now. Bye.